Every time I take communion, I recall the First Baptist Church where I grew up. Communion was only once a quarter, and it always seemed to come so seldom. It was always very formal. It was very serious. As I visited different churches, I was fascinated by the varied methods of celebrating communion. I was puzzled the first time I received a wafer rather than a piece of bread. In an Episcopal church, I was embarrassed that I didn't know their tradition, but I also found their practice very moving. I had never before gone forward to kneel at the rail, to bow and hold out my hands to receive the bread. And I will never forget what happened once in a little country church I attended. The sermon that day dealt with maintaining right relationships with one another. And two men I knew had had a major disagreement. As communion was being prepared, one got up quietly and tapped the other on the shoulder. They went outside, discussed their differences, confessed their faults one to another. Only afterwards did they feel it was right to return and accept communion. Over the years, I've come to respect varied denominations celebrating communion, whether it's quarterly or weekly. But it seemed to me almost every person at one time or another made a mistake. They let the practice become routine without feeling. Communion literally means union with God. How could that ever become formalized, routine, or the same time after time? God is alive, vibrant, ever knowing, ever changing, and yet ever the same in his faithfulness and his love toward us. I dearly love the way we celebrate communion here at Holy Covenant. I've heard longer litanies, I've heard shorter versions. We have even sung the words to the Lord's Supper. It's always fresh and new. But the thing I love the most about the way we celebrate communion is this. Every time, without fail, Pastor Nancy always says, "This is the Lord's table. All are welcome." This is so foreign, so different from some denominations, some churches who judge and would not allow some to come to the table. I want to show you a picture, but I can't show it to you because it doesn't exist. But I will tell you what I see. I see the words, "Do this in remembrance of me," engraved on my home church's altar. I see myself hungering and thirsting to refresh my walk with God and to be renewed in my innermost man. I see others doing the same, desiring the same. I see lines of people, common and ordinary, from every walk of life, from every nation, who want to know God and His forgiveness. I see the young and I see the old. I see saints from centuries ago. I see nuns and monks, beggars and priests. I see the rich and royalty, and I see the destitute and the homeless. I see people in the trenches of war, and I see people on their deathbeds asking for that inner peace, that renewal that comes from receiving the body and the blood. The lines stretch across continents, across oceans, from now into the past. I see the healthy and the strong. I see those on crutches, those who walk with canes and those in wheelchairs. And when they cannot walk, I see us carry the elements to them. I see millions upon millions who have gone before us and those who will come after us. We have just ended one year and just begun another. Our God is the great I Am, who was, who is, and who will be. Jesus himself called out, "Whosoever will may come." This is his table. All are welcome.